Howdy, howdy, everyone. Welcome to Inside Russia. My name is Konstantin, streaming live from the very heart of Russia, Moscow, the capital. Welcome to another stream, another message. I have, I think, pretty important message for you because that's something that I find very important for my country, for the economy, and for the future of Russia. I'm going to be talking about silent killer, secondary sanctions. Before I do that, I'd like to give you a little update on what is happening here in Moscow. I heard complaints from viewers who watch live streams that first couple minutes the advertisement runs, therefore they can't jump right into the message. Well, let me give you the update, general update on what's happening in Moscow. Kids are back to school, and I'm gonna make a stream pretty soon about it because there are some changes at Russian schools. Oh my gosh, big ones. Ideology is back. It starts smelling more and more like the old good country, and I know which one, I think you know which one I mean. Moscow is really cold. It greeted us by, I don't really know what's going on, 31st of March, not August, of course. We came from 35 Celsius into 14 Fahrenheit. And this night, it'll be -2. Not 14 Celsius, not Fahrenheit. This night is north of Moscow. There will be -2 Celsius. That is 28 Fahrenheit. Frost on the ground, basically. And that's not good. So let's jump right into the message. Silent killer of Russia. What is it? And why is it so important? And why it's not being talked about? Well, without further ado, let's jump right into it. The silent killer, in my mind, is secondary sanctions that are placed upon countries or companies, companies, not countries, that continue doing business with Russia, either companies that are under sanctions or industrial sectors that are under sanctions. Why I think it's important? Because it's the last line of defense of Russia. I'll tell you more in a few minutes. Why it's not being talked about here in Russia? That really beats me. I only can think of this explanation that not too many Russians know or care, for that matter, for the economy. It doesn't take a complicated mind to analyze a little bit and kind of foresee where we're going to. Somehow very few people do that. Anyway, what are secondary sanctions? There are actually definitions, and I'm going to give you a definition, very precise definition, what it is. So what are the secondary sanctions? Secondary sanctions target commercial activity involving a party under primary sanctions but occurring outside U.S. legal jurisdiction. The imposition of secondary sanctions is meant to force companies, banks, and individuals to make a tough choice. Continue doing business with a sanctioned entity or with the U.S., but not both. Plain and simple. Companies must make a choice who they work with. Because of the primacy of the US dollar as a store of value, Most companies prioritize keeping good relations with the US. In a nutshell, that's what secondary sanctions are. How are secondary sanctions enforced? Unlike primary sanctions, which can be enforced by fines and the seizure of US held assets, secondary sanctions rely on the centrality of the US financial system to the world economy and the widespread use of the US dollar as the global reserve currency to work. A company or an individual that violates a secondary sanction could be hit by US export controls or, that's important, be placed on the Treasury Department's specially designated nationals and blocked persons list. That list is a very important tool of punishing individuals or companies by the US government, and that's global. That would prevent Americans from doing business with it, with such entity. Why are secondary sanctions being discussed right now? That is also an important question. The measures taken against Russia by the US, the UK, and the EU have had considerable impact, causing Russian inflation to spike. That is true. Closing its stock market, well, it was closed for a while, it's reopened, but it's taken a huge hit. It's lost half a value. And causing the collapse of some of its banks. Banks have not collapsed as far as I know, but there quite a few banks would if they didn't have financial aid, so to speak. But a carve out in the sanctions regime that allows Russia to continue selling oil and gas into European market has tempered some of the effect, which is absolutely true, helping the ruble recover much of the value it's lost in the weeks following the start of the invasion. That is also true, and I will have a dedicated video and stream about Russian ruble coming up. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and members of his government have encouraged the US and its allies to impose additional sanctions, and members of Congress have pressed the administration to consider secondary sanctions. And the last question I'd like to answer is how have secondary sanctions have been used in the past? Because the United States has pretty good, well, I'm not sure how good it was, but pretty long history with secondary sanctions. And it's not inventing the wheel, so to speak, with Russia. It's simply using a well-established instrument, tool, with a proven history. 2/3 of all US secondary sanctions apply to entities linked to Iran. Much of the rest applies to the entities linked to North Korea. Secondary sanctions were part of the US-led pressure campaign to keep Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. The sanctions have made it difficult for Iran to sell its oil into the global market. China and Russia have also been subject to secondary sanctions over the years. So, North Korea and Iran. And now Russia. I don't know how about you, but I find it a bad company to be in. And that is me, my country, that is in this company right now. And it's kind of hard to believe. But anyway, I hope I explained what secondary sanctions are in nutshell. And now I will give you a very, very basic, very primitive explanation of what I just said. Imagine a house. A large, formidable, strong, tall house, 2 stories and a big foundation made out of bricks very solid, thick walls, like semi-fortress. Very good old-fashioned house, And all of a sudden, there are cannons pulled to the house from both four sides, from the east, the west, north, south. It's basically surrounded with cannons. And the cannons start shelling the house. The caliber of cannon shells different. Some are large, some are small, and they just keep on shelling, okay? And the house takes considerable damage. One of the walls just falls apart. Another one has holes. Half of the roof caves in. Another half stands, but ready. Another wall, one of the walls withholds this assault and stands. So, and all of a sudden, shelling stops or not as intensive any longer. So it cannot do more damage to the house. But all of a sudden, it turns out that the house itself is in pretty rough shape. The inhabitants can still live in the house, but it's not going to be comfortable living because it rains, the puddles inside, it's just like the weather is just like at the outside. In the winter it's cold and stuff like that. So not much of a protection from the elements, and that's miserable living. But the foundation of the house is pretty solid. It hasn't been touched, okay? And inhabitants kind of go down and hide in the foundation, and there is certain reserve of food, fresh water, and there are pipes. There are pipes coming with natural gas, with electricity, with water, sewage, and they still work, okay? So the top of the house has been hit hard, still works. And then there are builders called to fix the house up. They bring materials, patches, things like that, and they go into the house and they start working on that. And those people who were shelling the house in the first place, causing it damage, they come to the builders and they tell them, hey, stop. If you continue to work fixing up this house, then you're gonna have consequences from us. We're gonna freeze your bank accounts, we're gonna fine you, we're gonna take you to court, and moreover, you work on this house, but you have 150 other houses all around, and we will not let you to work on those houses. So you gotta choose where you wanna work. You wanna keep on fixing up this house, or then you won't be able to work for our houses. And we pay good money, and that's plenty of them. So pick your side. And they go to utility companies and they say, hey, you supply gas, oil, electricity, all needed stuff to this house, and you supply it to us as well. You're going to make your choice. You either supply it to us, and we have a huge market, or you supply it to this house, which is relatively small. Make your choice. But if you choose them, you won't be able to service us. And basically, this is what secondary sanctions are. Why do I think that they are silent killer of Russia? Well, I'm not talking about they just would kill Russian people literally. No, far from it. But they're killer of Russian economy. And it's all about the economy, stupid, as they taught me in college, these particular words. Because everything is about economy. Everything is about well-being of the country, of people. If people are not well, then sooner or later, they want to become well, back. And anyway, why these sanctions are a possible killer of Russian economy? Plain and simple. As you know, as I've said many times, Russia, and you know that better than I do, Russia has been hit by direct sanctions from the USA, from the European Union, and from the UK. Three largest markets, three largest well, not countries, but centers of decision making, including financial decision making, I should say. They have hit Russia hard with some limitations. Sanctions are limitations. Financial, personal, sectorial. Financial sanctions, there are different kinds of sanctions, by the way. There are trade sanctions and financial sanctions. Trade sanctions, they are actually aimed at trade and products. Financial sanctions are aimed at the flow of capital, debt, financial tools, and so forth. So all sanctions have been used for Russia. Russia is the most sanctioned country in the world right now, more than Iran, more than North Korea. Who would have thought? Who would have thought even like 6 months ago? So Russia was hit hard by the sanctions, and boy, that I haven't even heard of anything like that in my life. Even in business schools I went to, I did not hear any cases like that. I did not study history of any country. This magnitude of sanctions that Russia has been hit with, just one of a kind. But Russian government kept cool and kept economy afloat, and that's true. Economy is not destroyed, but it's taken a leak, so to speak, huge hit. Actually, huge hits from different sides. It's been shelled, okay? But the foundation is there because Russian government figured this, okay, if we're hit by direct sanctions and we cannot do business with some countries, or large companies such as Visa, MasterCard, Siemens, if our debt has been placed under freeze outside of Russia and so forth, then we will find other sources to get the same, only, other sources at different locations. We understand that it's going to cost us more because this is supply-demand type of thing, unique situation, but still, we will get what we need. That's what the Russian government's been thinking, okay? And it kind of makes sense, absolutely makes sense, and that's what they started doing. They went to China, they went to Turkey, they went to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and so far the plan has worked. It has kept Russia afloat, so to speak. Russian oil is being sold to China, is being sold to India. Huge discount, about 35-40%. There are no, at least I haven't seen the official numbers, but I've heard that's being sold at $55 to $60 per gallon to both China and India. And the quantity of oil, the trade has been decreasing over the months, It went to China, it legalized so-called parallel import. I've told you what it is in the other streams. Look it up. In a couple of words, it's the government allowed to import goods without permission of the initial manufacturer or producer of the goods. Okay, there was a law against piracy, and now it's been abolished. Now a Russian entity can, for example, ask Chinese company to import Mercedes into China and then take that Mercedes and bring it to Russia. By law, it couldn't do that until recently, but now it can. It's called parallel import, okay? And it heavily relied on the Kazakh companies, Uzbeki companies, Chinese, of course, and Turkish. Turkish have been profiting from this whole situation. So the plan somewhat worked. To avoid chaos in payment systems, when Visa and MasterCard have left Russia in April, and Russia needed substitutes of some kind, and went to China, and there's the biggest Chinese payment system called Union Pay. guess what? Union Pay welcomed Russians with arms wide open, saying, hey, anything for you, just bring your money. And Russians started going to China to bring in money. Same thing for Turkey. Russians started not immigrating. Tons of people left Russia for Turkey permanently. And there are so many who would fly to Turkey, open bank account, open a company in Turkey, and start using that Turkish company's proxy to bring things through Turkey to Russia. Okay, and Turkish were very welcome of Russians, inviting, saying, "Hey, just bring your money. We don't care about anything else." Meanwhile, the USA, the UK, and the EU, they were busy by organizing direct sanctions in the first months. And now those direct sanctions to the point where they can't really do much more. Most Western companies have either left, announced plans of leaving, or have decreased their activity here in Russia to the minimum. Lots of services, lots of everything is blocked here in Russia, basically. If it's not Russian made, any kind of online service, any kind of financial service, all blocked. I can't think of anything else that they can do. There are two things, oil and gas, and that's the biggest targets right now for the Western governments to sanction. Again, Russia is still selling oil and gas, natural gas, to Europe, although there is a ban for oil, and it'll be put in effect at the end of the year. After that, European companies will not be able to buy any more oil from Russia. That's a huge blow. And another blow that was actually announced today, that G7, this seven strongest economies in the world, they announced that they are working on putting cap on price of Russian oil sold elsewhere. Not just to Europe, the United States, but China, India, other countries. Basically, they're using transportation companies as tools how to cap price of Russian oil. Russians are very concerned. Russian government, I've heard two official statements. One was from Minister of Energy of Russian Federation, who said that if the West puts cap on Russian oil, on price of Russian oil, so to say, the limit, like Russia will not be able to get more than a certain price, then Russia will not sell oil at all. And then the same thing, Dmitry Medvedev, I saw his message today. I think it was in tweet or on social platform. Anyway, he was kind of rough on the border with being rude. He said that if they put caps, then Russia will not supply any gas, any oil, pardon me. Well, they're afraid, because if they won't be selling oil. Like the countries who are buying oil from Russia, they will source a different supplier. They will buy from someplace else. There's plenty of oil in the world. Will it go up in price? Yes. Significantly? Most likely. But these countries that will switch suppliers and cut off Russian oil, they will survive. They will not die. The question is, what will Russia do? It must pump oil constantly. It cannot just, shut off an oil rig and stop it, because it doesn't work like that way. Same thing for gas. It needs to store gas or get rid of it somehow. Burn gas? That's hell of a lot of burning. And oil, you can't burn oil because that's so much dirty, So there's a problem. But anyway, back to secondary sanctions. Putting fines or influencing those logistic transportation companies for oil, that's a secondary sanction, okay? And if the U.S. will be pressing those large companies like Maersk and the likes, to do something with price of Russian oil, then those companies, you better believe it, they're going to be on the side of the West, not on the side of Russia, because that's just the markets are absolutely incomparable in sizes. And not only oil, but secondary sanctions, like I said, for the few months, they were heavy hitting of direct sanctions. Now they're mostly done. They slowed down a great deal because simply there's not much more to sanction. And now all those countries, the USA, the UK, the EU, they're starting to look for companies who help Russia go around sanctions. And they start placing secondary sanctions on those companies. And guess what? 4 jurisdictions are targeted. Surprise, surprise. China, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Let me give you examples. The latest news is that UnionPay stops operating in Russia with Russian customers. Meaning, if you are a customer of a sanctioned bank that is under sanctions here in Russia, and you went to China and you got yourself a bank account and UnionPay card, that you cannot use it here in Russia in a sanctioned bank. And there are quite a few banks are sanctioned. Most largest Russian banks are sanctioned, such as Alpha, VTB, Sberbank, of course, Gazprom Bank, and the likes. There's majority of Russian bank clients at those banks. So UnionPay has stopped working with those banks. Okay, why? Because it is afraid that it'll be hit by the sanctions from the Western companies, and it doesn't want to risk that, for doing business with tiny market for them, Russia. Chinese companies called Huawei, Xiaomi, they have been quietly decreasing their operations in Russia. Officially, they are open here. Their offices are in operation. I checked out today. There are a few telephones on sale, both Xiaomi and Huawei, because they're mostly known for telephones here, mobile phones. But compared to what it used to be, very limited supply, okay? Because they're quietly, shrinking the operations in Russia with the goal to have minimal presence. Why? Because they're afraid of secondary sanctions from the United States and from Europe. Uzbekistan. Like I said, Uzbekistan is one of the countries that is used by the Russian business as a mean to go around with the sanctions, to go around the sanctions, Western sanctions. Well, first company, Uzbek company Promkomplekt Logistics, was placed under sanctions from the USA. It was banned to work anywhere outside of Russia, basically. No financial institutions can service this company. No customers can use its services, and so forth. For one simple reason, it has helped Russian companies to avoid sanctions. So that's a good example of secondary sanctions. And that's an early bird for Uzbeks, sort of a precedent, and they are concerned. Lots of businessmen are concerned. That's a heated discussion in Uzbekistan right now. Same thing goes with Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan have stopped taking Russian payment system Mir cards They haven't been taking them for quite some time, and the only bank in Kazakhstan who would accept them was Sberbank, and it was sold to Kazakh Bank right now, large Kazakh financial institution. And by the way, Sberbank Switzerland was also sold to the Swiss. So Sberbank is selling off its assets abroad. Can't tell you, well, I have pretty good idea why, but it still needs to research a little bit. So Kazakhstan is also afraid of secondary sanctions and also is very concerned and placing control upon operations that can be considered as avoiding American sanctions, Western sanctions. Turkey is the last in my list, but not least, the last but not least. Turkey, like I said, has been a huge partner in Russians avoiding the sanctions. Let me give you an example. In spring, right shortly after this event started in Ukraine, was started in Ukraine, pardon me, I didn't say it right. It was started in Ukraine by Russia. This event was started in Ukraine. So lots of Russians went to Turkey. Like I said, to immigrate, to settle, leave Russia permanently. Turkey had very lax conditions to get permanent residence and citizenship. You could become a citizen of Turkey in less than a year. All you had to do is invest around $400,000. And banks, Turkish banks, were so open for Russian customers. Basically, their paradigm was this: bring the money, do whatever you want, open bank accounts, just bring us your money so we profit. Not so any longer. I talked to people who just returned from Turkey. Turkish banks are afraid of secondary sanctions. They have put more challenges for Russians to open bank account. And there are laws, well, there are regulations that are changing how Russians can do business in Turkey. So I think that's the direct result of secondary sanctions. And from what I understand, Turkey is being pressured by the Western companies into not helping Russia. Okay, if Russia loses Turkey, that's going to be a huge blow because, again, Turkey's been ally number one in avoiding this whole sanction thing, you know. This is why I think that secondary sanctions are silent and somewhat slow killer of Russian economy. Secondary sanctions have started working. They have been in effect for some time already. They're not visible as direct sanctions that are being talked about everywhere in the news, in the media. Bloggers talk about that. And secondary sanctions are less sexy, so to speak, less hype to discuss, but they work because along with the primary, the direct sanctions, they make sure that the effect of the sanctions, direct sanctions, is reached. Okay, and from what I understand, there are indirect signs from how Russian government officials behave, what they say, and things like that. They are very concerned. Okay, that's might as well be the thing. Secondary sanctions, the thing that might bring Russian economy down in short to mid-term. This has been my message. I hope you liked it and found it valuable, interesting. Thank you so much for giving me a chance. And I would like to turn on the comments of this live stream. So I would like to hear from you. What do you think? Are you of the same opinion as me? You disagree with me perhaps? Would be really good to know what you have to say. There you go. Chat's on. Mommy and Lorna, 2 in 1, number 1. Great to see you. Thank you for coming back to watch my back as usual. Steven, Filippo, Mr. E30, Tim, Henrik, Tomas, Lars Henrik Jensen, or Jensen, I'm not sure. Terry, Becky Reed, Ferrari Guy, David Henney, King Nero. Thank you so much. All the usual suspects are here. Perhaps not all, but most. Thank you. Great to see you here and great to hear you. If you want me to notice your comment easier, please put it in caps and put my name in front of it so it appears in a large orange box. I see it 100% then. Otherwise, there are many messages and it's too difficult to read the small caps. Lionel, howdy. Gaby, hope you're feeling better. IKDA, Amir saying you nailed it, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm glad. This actually is worth diving a little deeper into. You see, I'm not an expert on many things that I speak about. I'm an economist. I went to 2 schools. I did some after-school programs of management. Didn't get an MBA, but it was like a small programs. I did energy management program at Russian university called MAE. Anyway, I know a thing or two about economy, and I've been in business for the past 26 years. As an employee, as an executive, and as a business owner. So I know a thing or two about Russian economy, okay? But a lot of things that I talk about, I'm not like really an expert on them, but I try to give you as clear message as I can about how I see these things and how I think they concern me, they will concern me, might concern me, affect me, okay, and affect economy, markets, our industry, our market, and so forth, okay? I'm not an expert on secondary sanctions, but I've been hearing about them, I've been thinking about them, I did the research, and I presented to you my thoughts. Amir, thank you so much. Hearing that you saying that I nailed it with your background, with your education, it's very important and valuable to me, okay? Because you seem much smarter than I am, much more experienced. So, again, thank you so much. Leslie, good evening. You nailed it, and that's how it's going to be. Howdy, Boston girl. Todd, Sandy Workman. Hope you both feeling better, Sandy and your husband. Simin Farani, howdy. Electrics, hi from the UK, like the damaged house analogy. Love from Norway, thank you. Somehow, users from Norway and Sweden have the toughest names for me to pronounce, okay? That really break my tongue. Knox, greetings. Good Nabend, Buddy, howdy. John Knox, Tonya Christensen, Hablo, hi from Sweden. Eric, that's the question. Eric, all the best, Konstantin. May Vissarion be with. Well, let's put it, Eric. I say this. Thank you so much. Jesus is with me, and I also wish and pray that Jesus is also with you. Timo, today is my birthday and we were born in the same year, 1976. Timo, I'm so much older than you, man. I'm so much more experienced, wiser, because I have whooping, 5 months over you. No, not five. Made 4 months. 4 months over you. That was a joke. Well, since it's your birthday, I'm gonna sing a song. The ones with very fragile souls and ears, please close your ears, shut your ears, or cover your ears, not close. But this is to the owner of Timo 2929, who was born in the same year as I was, 1976. And by the way, that was the best year to be born out of the 20th century. I guarantee you that, okay? Timo, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Timo. Happy birthday to you. Yay. I hope that you heard not just my singing, but like 1,000 more people singing happy birthday to you. Wish you all the best. Galaxy sector. The space people are here. Howdy, howdy. Gaby, how will this new sanctions affect Russian families? Great question. Tough answer for me to give a very short answer. Probably worth a stream. I was just discussing with my wife. She went out shopping today for kids. Kids went to school, back to school. She said the shopping mall, the closest to us, Russell, Traveling with Russell, does videos from there all the time. She said it's full of people. People doing shopping for kids, buying less than last year, but still lots of people. I gotta go and figure out, like, see for myself, although I trust Natasha, I gotta figure out what they do. Are they shopping? Do they just go and look at things? How, like, what the prices are and things like that? Because it sounds really strange. My family has been affected, okay, because the prices for food have risen quite a bit, by quite a bit, and it affects me. For the past 5 months, I have received extra income from YouTube. That has saved my butt because I'm not feeling heat from those prices up. First of all, for food, and then just for clothing. I have two girls living with me. One is 19, one is 17. They're not high maintenance, but hey, they're girls, always money needed. I have a young kid that's growing like I can tell you, he's gonna be he's gonna be 6 in a week, and he's gonna be like as tall as I am. Okay, he grows by inch every single day, it seems. I have wife I'd like to, give nice presents to, and that combined, if not for this extra income, I would be feeling the heat like you wouldn't believe. Other families, they don't have extra income. I don't understand how they're living normally. They must be cutting on something big time. And I want to try to figure out like what is really going on with the families. How are they feeling heat? Because there is heat, okay? Don't tell me that Russian economy is not affected. I mean, come on. The number one sanctioned country in the world, okay? Our reserves, central bank reserves, half of them are frozen outside. And, there's just so much going on. And yet people shop. I got to figure out what is really going on. So, Gaby, your question is in the works. I will answer it, and perhaps in video, in the streams, because to me that seems fundamental now. I want to understand what is happening. Perhaps it's just Moscow. In Rostov, the situation in shopping malls were much different. A week ago, I was there. Crowds are off. Perhaps it's Moscow being the biggest financial center of Russia. Perhaps it's still more financial life. But anyway, the answers are coming. I see a couple super chats. Thank you so much. King Nero. I didn't like Gorbachev's way he handled problems in the Baltic states, but overall he was a good leader, and more he was a statesman. I'll leave it at that. Um, I will. Amir just gave a gift of 5 sponsorship to the viewers. Amir, thank you so much. Very appreciated. Okay, King Nero. About Gorbachev. I never said that Gorbachev was perfect. He made quite a few mistakes. I also think that the way he handled problems in the Baltic states was not acceptable. From what I understand, people died there, and watching the comments from my video yesterday, I learned quite a bit about that because I only heard vague things. I never dug deep into that issue, okay? I am doing it right now, and more I learn, more I understand that he didn't handle that well. He also made another mistake. He didn't handle well Chernobyl tragedy when it happened in Russia. He didn't handle well situation with his wife. She played a greater role, much greater role than she needed to play as the first lady. And, a few other things. But if we put on scale how much good he did for the country, for the world, and for the people, versus how much bad, in my eyes, in my opinion, the scale tips way to the good side. Okay. Thanks for the super chat. I hope I answered your question. SF Joe, howdy, howdy. Great to see you. Thank you for super chat. King Kong, I don't know any of other self-inflicted political decision that has caused so much havoc in your country, your people, or the rest of the world. Bigger impact because Russia's biggest economy ever isolated, said. It's not a question, it's a statement. And I totally agree with this statement. It is very sad. It is still hard to believe for me that it's happening. It's like our world is not the same anymore. It's completely different. In this chasm between what was before and what's now after. And, this chasm is growing, meaning the past is drifting away, and this new brave world is born. And to be honest with you, I don't like it. This is not a good place to be. Like I said many times, I want to fly back to the mid-'80s when the Gorby came to power. Just Terry, good question. Do you think the economic tsunami arrived? I'm trying to figure out. My bet 3-4 months ago that it would arrive around September this time. Has it arrived? Well, my company is still in business. Okay. Damaged, hurt quite a bit, but still operating. Lots of companies around us defaulted, in liquidation or greatly cut on personnel. Tons of small businesses closed. Russian ruble is strong, and I'm making a video on that. Purchasing power, it seems like what I'm feeling is overall the living standard of people has been lowered because of prices going up and fewer opportunities to work, to make money. Like in general, the markets are hurting because there are so many things that people don't do any longer. They don't go to the movies. They don't take deliveries. They don't go out to eat as much. They don't. They've started cutting down on renovation, building houses, things like that. They're trying to a lot of people go into preserve mode, preservation. That's the key, And I feel that lots of people hurting because of that. Businesses, I don't see, definitely no one is starving. I don't see that unemployment is highly critical. No, it's high, but not critical at this point. overall mood is very sad, depressed, you know. Lots of people are dismayed. Lots of people making plans to leave Russia. Hasn't arrived. I gotta do research. I gotta see more because that's a very question is crucial to me. I gotta answer it too, and you can bet that I'll make videos and I will make live streams about that. There's a super chat from Ivan Zlatar. Ivan, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Much needed and very welcome. Craig Hughes, Gazprom just announced closing of Nord Stream 1 indefinitely to Europe. I just heard the news a couple hours ago. I don't know what to make out of it. I think that's well, it appears to be. Don't quote me on that, I could be wrong, but it appears to be the answer to the capping of oil price, okay? That's like chess game. I doubt they will close Nord Stream 1 for good indefinitely because they announced that there are some kind of technical problems and they're working alongside with Siemens. But guess what? Those technical problems never occurred before. For as long as Nord Stream was in operation, everything was fine. Now all of a sudden technical problems. So fishy. So we'll see. Alex, have you seen the Chernobyl show on HBO? If so, what did you think of it? Alex, I saw Chernobyl show in real life. I don't need and I don't want to watch and relive through this again. People knocked on the door of my home trying to not recruit, but grab my dad and throw it into Chernobyl as a just, a piece of meat to go and take out fires. And he managed to get out of it because he was under a special position with the Russian government. He was a train driver and he was like under reserve in case of war. They would take all train drivers and immediately make them very valuable asset, give them security so they just drive trains through the country. That saved his butt because his buddies actually went to Chernobyl and later they died of radiation. I think 2 people. Cancer, lung cancer or something like that. So trust me, I don't want to go and relive that. I've had enough of Chernobyl in my life. I had just turned 10 years old. I was playing outside. After Chernobyl, I was covered with like days. On the 30th of March, it was a nice day actually, it was wonderful. I still remember it, wonderful April weather. It was my birthday on 26th and I was covered with like red rush all over my hands. Somehow it was connected. I was never tested for like poisoning or anything like that, but lots of people in my city, Rostov, not too far from Chernobyl, by the way, had that. So we were all affected somehow. Enough is enough. Bob, I'm looking at the time. Yuho L, you should do a live about Baltics. I'm not informed enough about the Baltics issue that to comfortably present information. I only do lives on what I know about and what I know the subject so well I can juggle with it, answer questions and stuff like that. I would love to, but I just don't know the much about the Baltics. Lars Constantine, will the sanctions do it impossible to get car parts? Possible. Look, there are no shortages of anything in Russia because parallel import works. What they do is they used to import from Japan directly, and the huge shipments would come to Moscow or whatever, the big logistic centers, and then they would just ship all over the country. Now what they do is they set up a company in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkey, perhaps China, ship from Japan to those companies, and then from those companies to Russia. So it takes longer and much more expensive. I was working on my car. I was changing front parts, struts, and all of that. Like we call it the thing that wheels are connected to. And in May, I paid 39,000 rubles. That's just for the parts only. And the guy who was buying the parts for me, the mechanic, he said that he was shocked because a few months before I would have paid 21,000, 20,000. So they doubled in price. Okay, but still possible to get anything you want. Liz, sanctions against large corporations are very different to the secondary, where I feel normal everyday citizens will suffer. We will suffer at the end. That's right. Anne Flynn, thanks Constantine. What you say is completely consistent with the picture I have. What's good to know. It feels good to share it with so many. Thank you. Ferrari guy, do you think the arrival might be more like water slowly rising and boiling frog than tidal wave? Yes, you nailed it. I think it's. I think in the past I used this analogy. It's not like a huge wave that destroy everything and moves fast, but it's water, and it's rising. It's rising slow to moderate speed. It's rising. It definitely is rising, but it's still. It's not in high enough for us to start suffocating. Well, we're feeling it. Don't get me wrong. We're definitely feeling it. King Nero, sorry to bring up the Baltics. Well, there's nothing to be sorry about because what's done is done. What happened? So I feel not the most comfortable topic for me because it's a very tough issue for any Russian who has conscience. Okay, but it's the history of my country. My people did that, so it's okay to bring it up. Next time I email you. I don't expect perfection from the leaders either. Today's topic is a good one. Thank you, King Nero. Thank you, appreciate it. A plus. Howdy. Couple answers and we'll wrap it up. By the way, Alex Simashov, that show is in Russia, available in Russia as well. Timo, it's so sad how it's possible that one person alone can stir the pot so hard. That's not one person. Don't get your hopes up. That's not one person cannot do that. That's more than one person. Ann Adler, message taken. Thank you. Bob is watching and listening from Wisconsin. That's good. Wisconsin is a good state. Dr. Christopher Coonan, thank you so much for joining. Howdy. Liz, thank you. Just wanted to say last night's streams felt like a group of old friends having a good chat around the fire. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have similar feelings, and let's do that type of live streams and chats once in a while. Let's see how it goes. Martin Me, thank you. Thank you so much. Maryland Parmalee, thank you. Must add Massachusetts. Hey, Massachusetts is in my heart. Trust me, it's been there quite some time. Good time. Went to see different shows, sports games, Faneuil Hall, and all kinds of stuff. There's a Russian community, or at least it was, on Beacon Street, I think, or Beacon Hill, or something like that. It's a pretty cool place. My friends, by the way, who lived in Old Orchard Beach, Maine, they were from Haverhill, Massachusetts. Justin Traboko, do you dream in both English and Russian? I don't really distinguish anymore. I dream in something. It's neither English nor Russian. It used to be Russian, English. I used to distinguish. About 3 or 4 years into living in the United States, I started dreaming in English. But then now it's just, I think and dream in neither. I think and dream in, I don't know, some kind of alloy of both languages. It's really hard to explain. I don't notice it any longer. Ferrari guy, sorry it's been another tough stream. I wish it was back to the days when you were just reporting on fun things of cultural interest. Yes, I know, Ferrari guy. What can you do? It's only so much of fun you can have in your life. I think I've exceeded my fun threshold, and now it's tough streams. Megan's dead. Do you see Manchester United on TV? I saw it once play my team, Football Club Rostov. In my stadium, we played 1-1. There was a draw. I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic was playing, and he scored. And that Portuguese famous coach, it was 2015, I think. 2016. Early 2016, yes. Or 2017. Anyway, it was Champions League. Football Club Rostov. Then we flew to Manchester and we lost 1-0. So you edged us out by one goal. That's it. No, I never watch football on TV, anything but my own team, my home team, Football Club Rostov, and I go to the stadiums to watch it. I don't watch anything else. I don't even watch Team Russia any longer. Yes, Jose Mourinho. I remember I was close to him. And then you had a buddy of mine actually playing for you. I think he played, or perhaps no. It was I forgot his name. Anyway, it's a good friend of my friend who I used to work. Well, he's one of my good friends. He lives in Los Angeles now. He used to play in Armenia for the club called Ararat, I think. And then he moved to the United States, and he worked for me in Maine. And his buddy went on playing football, and he ended up playing for Manchester United. What's his name? I forgot. David something. Armenian guy. Well, he's like one of the world's biggest stars, Give me his name. I forgot. Anyway, my friend had a baby in Los Angeles, and he invited me to fly over. And he invited that guy who used to play for Manchester United. So he's from London, from Manchester, from England. He flew to LA, and then they were doing like they were calling me live and sending me pictures, saying, "Hey, dude, why couldn't you make it? You know, we're having a good time." They set up little football gate was it gate, and then there were like tiny footballs, and then they were just passing one another and stuff like that. Kacharyan or something like that. I forgot. Mkhitaryan. There you go. Mkhitaryan. Still have pictures on my phone. They were sending. Wish you were here. We would have played together and stuff like that. Legion writes, Konstantin, how's football club Rostov doing? Okay. It had one great coach, and it went to the Champion Leagues. It's in the second place in the Russian Championship. We beat Ajax 4-1 in Rostov. We beat Bayern Munich 3-1, 3-2. It was incredible. Okay, it was like the best game of my life. My team bet the current winner of the Champions League. We bet Sparta Prague 5-0. We bet I think was it Feyenoord or Eindhoven, one of the Dutch clubs. Then I think we played with Porto, and we did a draw, and we lost in Porto. I'm pretty sure it was Porto. So it was an incredible season. That was when the football club Rostov was doing fantastic. It was in the world news, but there was one season only. And then after that and before that, it was just in the between, some level of mediocrity. Anyway, Parmela J. There are people who can't pronounce Haverhill. I know, but my friends, I've heard it so many times. I know how to say it right. Haverhill. A lot of people say Haverhill. Anyway, I know I'm pushing it with Bob. Bob's gonna be really, really upset now. By the way, where is Bob? Oh yeah, there you go. Bob asking the question: are you doing the Saturday member stream inside Russia? Yes, I am. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Moscow time, just like last time, both for joint stream for both patrons and sponsors. So I know quite a few of them are sponsors of my channels. Please come tomorrow. Let's discuss football, anything you want to. Okay, so that's usually more relaxed, slower paced streams. Anyway, I think I pushed my luck for too far. Bob, I'm sorry. When I get going, it's really hard for me to stop sometimes. So, thank you so much for excellent stream. I would like to invite everyone to a prayer. I read quite a few nasty comments about myself lately in the past few months. And one of the comments that kind of got onto me was, oh, Konstantin has a cult. He's really like a cult, and whoever is in his streams, cult members. Okay. Now I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, why would people think this is a cult? Okay. But then I figured, yes, it is a cult. It is a cult, and it's a religious cult. And I pray to God. The God of this cult his name is Jesus Christ, Lord Almighty. To me, that's the only God that exists. Okay, and that's the God that I pray to. And I invite everyone to join my cult. And the cult's official cult's book is called the Bible. Okay, I try to live by the Bible. I read Bible, not as often as probably I need to, but from time to time, scriptures, So, welcome to the cult. Let's pray to Jesus Christ, and that's it. Let's do it. Dear God, thank you so much for giving us another good day. Thank you for giving us another good week, work week, and please give us all good, peaceful, safe, and wonderful weekend. Thank you for giving food, putting food on our tables. Thank you for putting roofs over our heads. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please keep our children safe and healthy. Please help to stop bloodshed in Ukraine as soon as possible. Reach out and touch the hearts of people who can stop, so their eyes will be open. Their eyes will open, so their hearts will be touched and filled with love, empathy, mercy, forgiveness. The hearts will become softer, and they make decision to stop the war, and they will do it. Thank you so much. Please reach out and touch the hearts of Russian President Vladimir Putin and American President Joe Biden. Please reach out and touch their hearts, fill them with love, empathy, mercy, forgiveness. If they're upset with something, please make them forgive whoever they're upset with. Make their hearts softer, and they make decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help everyone who's been affected by this tragedy in Ukraine. Give them strength, relieve their pain. Send some happiness their way. Keep everyone safe. Please send angels to all who are in Ukraine now. Civilians, Ukrainian soldiers, Russian soldiers. So the angels will stop, will put everyone out of harm's way, so not one single drop of blood is shed anymore. Please help my country. Send strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country and make it righteous again. Give us wisdom and smarts to raise our children the way that they will make this world a better place, will never be involved in any war whatsoever. We'll live with each other in peace. I'm asking for all pregnant women who are in tough position and making decision to keep the baby or not. Please reach out and talk to all of them so they make the right decision. And send support of the loved ones, friends, family, and just regular people to them, because they really, really need it. Thank you for bringing us all together here. Thank you for letting this community happen. Thank you for giving us opportunity to pray together. Please help everyone who is praying right now or watching us pray. Answer the prayers and make everyone's wish come true. I would like to ask you to help some people. They need your help. Please help 9 Veka, Yelena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Igor, and Bonnie, Melissa, Buzz, Anne, Jean-Paul, Paula, Janine, Michael Milkevitz. Please help him recover fast from his surgery. Marlene, Susan S., Susan, Fiona, Sabrina, Madeline, Stephen, Ellen, Freddie, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Gaby Hyman, Martin Joanne Donald from Wisconsin, who always asks for himself and separately for his country, the USA. Allison Dave Moyers, I found Waldo, Liz, Deborah, Isabel Legault. May her father rest in peace and please give her strength to cope with pain. Janice Burgess, Maureen M. and her sisters. And her sister, Carol Reed, who recently broke her arm. A lot of people asking for liberty to be preserved in the United States. I'm asking for that, and I think many people will join me in asking for that. For those who travel, give them safety, safe travels. Golden Griffin, Terry Carter, Ariana, Liz, Bruce, Kayleen, Michael, Thomas, Tony, Bob, Jessica, Minutes to Midnight, Sandy Workman and her husband, please get well soon. Mr. Hansen, Heidi Howitz, and Scott Nesbitt's sister. I also am asking for 4 children specifically. Their names are Sebastian, Maverick, Britzel, and Coulter. Please show your miracle to them and their loved ones. They need your help really bad. Please send them home healthy. Please have them get better, recover completely, and so they live long and healthy lives along with the loved ones, their families. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. My friends, thank you so much. There will be no stream tomorrow at 11 p.m. Moscow, but there will be one for a little bit earlier than that at 2 p.m. for sponsors and patrons. And there will be another stream on Sunday with another message. Thank you so much. I just wanted to let you know that you are the most awesome community YouTube has to offer. Thank you so much. I will see you soon.